What's up, Tipsies? This is Twyla's Tipsy Travels, and this is a new episode of The Bachelorette Round, Brown, and Abroad edition. So, in this edition, we're going to be discussing Beast. That is the man that I had briefly talked about in the previous video, that I said he was a very, very large man. Basically, like I said, he had a picture holding three men up, three grown men. And I'm like, if he can hold up three grown men, then he can hold up this one big woman. And so, and he said as much. Yeah, 6'6", 400 pounds, what? But my calculations in my head are often not quite right. Like, I don't know, the weight to height ratio for me, I don't always get it right, because I don't know, like, especially with men, like once they hit a certain height and then a certain weight, it's like, well, what does that look like? Oftentimes I'll have to scour the internet to find, like, what does this look like? For my last character, who was a Viking, I was like, okay, so he's like, how tall? He's 6'6", I believe. And I'm like, okay, I want him to be massive, but like muscles, but with like just a thin layer of fat over the muscles. Like, it's not crazy cut, because back then it wouldn't be crazy cut. Well, maybe it would, but I don't think so. So, you know, and so I was like trying to picture it, and I'm like, what's the weight? What would that weight be? And so I ended up looking up. It was Dave Bautista. He's like 6'6" and 290 pounds. And so I was like, there you go. So I'm kind of like, yeah, and maybe I should have thought about that when he said 6'6" and 400 pounds. But anyway, I was just like, in my mind, I'm thinking like the Mountain in Game of Thrones. Like, he was thick. He had this real thick waist. He's not super cut, and you know, he's got a little fluff to him. Big thickums. So I was thinking more along those lines, and the picture that he showed of himself seemed along those lines, maybe a smidge bigger. And I'm like, I can handle that. So he messaged me and said, you know, like, what are you up to today? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nothing. What are you doing? And he said, you know, I'm working. And he said that he was working because he does security. Of course, someone that big, you're going to do security. So he was doing security, and he said that he was doing security for the new Indiana Jones movie that they're filming here. And I said, oh, I'm gone. I'm on my way. And so that's what I did, and here's a few clips of that. This is definitely for a movie. American flags lining Glasgow. Must be trying to do old-timey USA. Interesting. Oh, that's super cool. How fun. And so, super cool. Like, man, okay, I get to see a little bit of a movie being filmed, and, you know, get to meet somebody while I'm at it. And so he had told me what intersection he was at, And so I walked over, and he was talking to a cop. And so I just held back for a while until he was done with his conversation. And then I walked over, and he kept calling himself ugly and stuff when we were talking. And while he is a very like gruff looking man, oh, by the way, he's not Scottish, he's American. But he was calling himself ugly, and while like he's not what most people would call attractive. I hate that because I just feel it's real mean or whatever. But he's not what most people would call attractive, but like I thought he was adorable, I thought he was adorable in this like grumpy giant type way, and he's not grumpy at all. And he was an absolute sweetheart. Just really like gregarious, outgoing, talkative, interesting person. And I know he was definitely digging me. He really was. Like my hand was on the guardrail or whatever, and he's on the other side, and and he scooched his hand close to mine and like, caressing my pinky finger with his pinky finger, and I'm just like, oh. But there was one problem, and that is, again, my height to weight ratio was just way off, and he was just a lot bigger than the picture that he posted, and a lot bigger than what I thought in my head, even though I guess I should have known. And I'm a big girl, you're a big dude. The physics of it ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. And while sexual relations is not all there is to a relationship, it is a big part. And especially in the beginning of a relationship, that's a big part of it. And if relations are difficult to do, and so and I've been there before. It's not like I haven't attempted with someone I was dating before. It's been attempted with someone who was a little bit smaller than him, maybe anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds smaller than him, and it didn't work. So I'm positive. And for anyone, not friends, but family friends or family, like ear muffet, don't listen to this. You probably shouldn't be watching these videos anyway. But I was making jokes on Facebook, but it's true. It seems like skinny men are walking around with a third leg. Like when they're naked, they look like a tripod. And so, and bigger men just seem to get the short end of the stick on that. So I was thinking, yeah, that it probably wouldn't be, and so, yeah, it just wouldn't be physically possible. So that's that. It's kind of sad. And then I told him that I wanted to just be friends, and that I didn't think the physical could work or whatever, but I would like to be friends with him because he's a really nice guy. And he said that was fine, even though I don't think so, because he kind of, he bounced and hasn't really spoken to me since, but I understand. But yeah, that was that. It's unfortunate because he's a sweet guy. And I can see having fun with him. I would like to be friends with him, but it's just, there's just no way. It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work with like way smaller guys that have like just a little bit of a gut, like, or not a little bit, but like they're pretty much not big everywhere else, but they got like a nice tummy. Even that's difficult. Even that's difficult. So if you've got like, it's sticking out like 2 feet out from, you know, the it's just not, it's not physically possible. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, on to the next, back to the drawing board. Yeah, we'll see what happens with future endeavors, but still having a really hard time getting guys that I've matched with to meet. So bizarre. It's so bizarre. I don't know what's going on. Oh, but sorry, great news. I got a message from one of my favorites, Jazzman. Sorry, I keep looking over at the window because I see a bee trying to get up in here and I'm not having it. Like, no bee, you stay out there. But anyway, Jazzman messaged me and he said that he was sorry, because I had messaged him almost a year ago, making sure that he was okay during all this COVID, and he never responded. And so I'm like, well, I'll leave him alone. Maybe he doesn't want to talk anymore, or maybe he's dating someone and doesn't want them to be like, who's this that you're talking to? So I just left him alone. And so he's like, I just saw, because he is subscribed to my channel, as some of you know who follow me before. He's like, yeah, I'm subscribed to your channel. I just saw that you're back in Scotland and whatever. And I was like, yay, Jasmine. And so I did ask him, like, you know, if you're up to it, because he said that, you know, he basically became super antisocial during the majority of the lockdown, which we all have been, and it's been mentally stressful for everybody. And so I know that he probably was a little stressed out. So I'm just like, that's fine. I completely understand, or whatever. And then I asked him, I'm just like, if you're up to it, because he's just re-emerging, said, if you're up to it, I'd love to see you before I go. And so it took him a while to respond to that. And I was like, I take that as a no. But he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm just so bad at responding to text messages. He said, but yeah, like there's a miniature festival that's happening in Edinburgh in August. Normally they have the big one, the Fringe Festival that I showed you guys last time. He said there's going to be a smaller version, and that you know, maybe we can go to a show or do something around that, which I'm like, yes. But he is dating someone, so it might be just his friendship, which that's fine, because I just love him as a person. A really, really sweet guy. So there's that. So hopefully I will be able to come back with a video about a reunion with Jasmine. And other than that, I had, before him, count them, 3 guys on Tinder that I went on dates with the last time swiped right on me again. I'm like, again? Weren't you embarrassed enough the first time? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I can't do it. So I politely proceeded to swipe left on them. Like, sorry dudes, it ain't happening. So yeah, it's been a lot of, I'm feeling a lot of deja vu, or, you know, like it's happening again. And all I have to say is, for those of you who followed me before, you all know that there's one in particular that I don't know how I feel about possibly seeing again. I am actually relatively fearful to see him again. But at the same time, like, anxious as to if I will. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notifications every time I upload a new video. And as always, I love you guys and thank you for coming along with me on my journey. Mwah.